Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer, and I'm bringing you another episode of Convert This. Now, it's been a while since I've done one of these episodes, and I'm sorry for those of you who really enjoyed it that it's been so long. But if you're a longtime subscriber of mine, you'll probably know that I had a series that I did a number of videos for, so you can go back. If you're not if you're not a longtime subscriber, if you're a recent subscriber, and you can see some of the progression videos that I had on a number of the conversions that I've been doing for my undead army. I've been working on this army for a couple of years now, and just I guess I wouldn't say taking my time, but there's just so much converting that I've been doing that it's just taken a lot of time to not only put these all together, but then to complete a lot of these projects, to complete a lot of the painting. So I finally have another completed unit, and again, to rehash some of what I've been doing. So again, if you're not a long-time subscriber, I've been building up an undead army. I started out when I got into 8th edition after a long hiatus from Warhammer in general. And I built up a vampire counts and then, of course, an Undead Legions army. And I wanted to do it where it was a Mousillon theme, which was an army that was Undead Bretonnians, essentially. And if you don't know the history, go look up the fluff. But in a nutshell, the Red Duke of Mousillon, and I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And even though people have corrected me, I still make the mistake. So my apologies. He's apparently a vampire. They talked a little bit about him and gave him a really crappy end in the End Times series, which I didn't really like, but they could have done so much more. He could have been one of the Mortarchs, which would have been cool. But essentially, this army really spoke to me because I love the Bretonnians, I love the knights in shining armor and the flying Pegasi, and the idea of an army where the Knights of the Realm were the Black Knights and Grail Knights were the Blood Knights. And I could convert up a whole bunch of different themes that would work well with that army really appealed to me. Plus the idea of being able to have a dual-purpose army where I could field it as a Bretonnian army because so many of the units were similar. Obviously not everything in the army translates over, but those that do would. So when I had decided to make Fell Bats, I didn't want to do anything out of the box with this army, and 95% of it, maybe 99% as much, is just complete conversions. And you'll see with some of those other videos, and I'll probably do a revisit of a lot of those units because there's a lot of things that I haven't completely buttoned up, and I'm probably going to complete them. And then some of the things I'm turning over from square bases into round. Some of them I'm keeping on square just because I might go back and play some 8th edition here and there. But I wanted to keep with certain themes. Now, for one of those themes, I wanted to have the Fell Bats not be bats. I wanted them to be Fallen Pegasus and Undead Skeleton Pegasus. And I had an idea to convert, and just so you get to go over some of it, I think I went over it in that video, but I'm going to go over it again. I took, and I'm just going to use my my work tool here, this cutting tool, and I'm not going to scrape anything, so don't worry, don't screech. I used, for these wings, all of these wings are cut up from the Tomb Kings, the Carrion, and the basis of the models themselves are from the Black Knights. And of course, I use these acrylic rods, which clear acrylic rods. You can get them very easily. And then I have these very large, and this is for magnetizing. These very large, round fenders washers, which I used, so I can stick them to the magnetic trays that I have. And I had a couple different iterations of this. I was going to use the Bretonnian chargers, the Bretonnian horse, and then make some kind of a variation therein. But I decided to go with the Black Knight's horse because they kind of already had these tattered tabards, some of which you can see. I'm going to try and pick some of these up so you can actually see them from different angles. But they already have the tatters, and I had cut some of those and did a lot of work when I did my questing knights, which are my hex wraiths. And I like the fact that these already had that. So the Mousillon theme is colors are black and kind of a yellowish gold. So I did a little checkered type pattern with this. And again, I love the wings for those carrion. They're just absolutely beautiful. And there's a lot of different ways you can pose these guys, so I made sure to put them in various different poses. And of course, I went to town even on the bottom, with the fleshy wrappings, the fleshy goodness that you have with the feathers. But they looked really, these carrion wings were absolutely brilliant, and they really conveyed an image of, in my opinion, these giant feathery wings that were decrepit and bone, with a lot of uncovered bone and flesh. You can see on this one over here, I may be oversaturating this video a little bit with light, so it looks a little bit too white and vibrant, but that's okay. I think you probably can get the idea. Just that lot of skin, stretched out skin and bone uncovered, as well as just the what would normally be a beautiful feathered wings of a Pegasus is just covered in all of this this skeletal fun that makes up a kind of a zombie-ish or skeletal Pegasus. And I wanted to put them in various different poses, some swooping down, some hovering, and some in a dive position, and some just kind of hovering there and hanging there. And I just like these better than the bats. I don't really like the bats from the GW line. And of course, now I'm obviously using these for Age of Sigmar, but I could use these for a number of things. These are easily usable for a number of different systems. I could proxy them for a number of different things, but my main focus is using them for Age of Sigmar. And now I've got my 6 fell bats. Now I have more that I can make. I decided that I wasn't going to make any more. It was a large project. I figured I've got 2 units of 3, which is good. It's not out of control. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to just have 3 that I could deploy, and as a result, 3 that I could summon. And that's how I interpret the summoning rules. So, no controversy, guys, no debate. That's how I view it. You need to have it on the table deployed in order to summon it. And if you choose to do it differently, my pleasure. Whatever your pleasure is, be my guest. But this is not a forum for debate on that. There are plenty of videos for it and plenty of other conversations. But in any case, this is what I figured I'd do. I'd have 1 that I could deploy, 1 that I would have, 1 set of 3 that I could summon. And if I chose to actually deploy them as they are, I could have 2 units of 3 or 1 giant unit of 6, or whatever other mathematical combination you can dream up. But just I had a lot of options, and I just didn't feel like I needed more of them. I think that 6 is enough for a lot of flexibility. I just feel like any more would be excessive. And if I deployed these as 1 unit, even some of the most aggressive comps, I would be able to deploy these all as 1 specific unit. So I don't really play with a lot of comp, or usually it's just social contract comp. But if I ever do play, I don't think I'm going to need another 3 to 4 of these guys. I just have a lot of other things that I like to deploy, and I think I did fine with these. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you I'd love to hear some feedback. If you do have any feedback on these, or if you have any thoughts, feel free. If you have any questions, certainly feel free. But I'd like to also open up for future Convert This and for future projects to, any of the subscribers that I have and any of the people that have donated on Patreon, which, by the way, thank you very much for anybody who's done that. I thank you if you're a subscriber in general, of course. But for those of you who have donated to try and support the channel for the improvements that I have planned, a special thanks to you. If any of you guys at all are interested in providing me with some ideas on what you'd like me to build next, I'm going to be working on a couple of different projects. But if you have thoughts that for additions of something that would be that I would be able to add to the army that I haven't already done, I'd be happy to hear it. But I would like to get some feedback. I'm going to put these guys aside, and then I'm going to introduce something that a lot of people have seen in a previous Convert This, and you probably have seen this in some of my recent battle reports. And that's these guys. So these, let's see if I can bring them all over a little bit quicker. These are my Cryptars. Now, they're not specifically any Bretonnian theme. They are, werewolves. I just didn't, again, if you know me, I'm a little bit insane when it comes to the converting. I just don't like bringing things in out of the box. Let me move some of these other guys back. And again, it's a little bit too bright because of some of the lighting that I have. So they might look a little bit too bright, but I'm going to go and bring some of these guys forward. And I'd love some feedback on what you think I should do to make these guys kind of pop. I've already converted them up to put on the rounds. I have about 5 or 6 more of these that are still on squares. I think it's 6 more because I had a total of well, let's see, I have 5 here. Yeah, I think I had 12 of these like this, and the rest were unit fillers that I don't need. All right, so this can give you an idea of what I did. First of all, I used, for the tops, for the heads, I used the dire wolves, which I thought were just really cool looking werewolf-like heads that fit really well with them. And of course, I green stuffed a lot of the fur to make it work, and used some of the backs for the Vargeist that just really were just kind of feral fur-like backs. And some of them I just improvised. That's mostly green stuff over there. This one is mostly the fur, and this one is a lot of green stuff here. And they worked out really nicely. And I put them on with, some interesting, fun stuff, like, the tombstone. But the real stuff that a lot of people comment on is, the captured Empire soldier, and then, of course, this one holding the ripped off head of a giant. And there's a carcass down there that kind of got covered over with paint that was in mid paint from when I converted it over to the round. But obviously I'm going to put more flesh color and a whole lot more on the as far as blood and stuff, because obviously he just severed the head off of a giant. There needs to be plenty of fun stuff going on there. So what I'm looking for is ideas on how to finish these guys. I've been pondering it for quite some time. I don't want them to be quite as gray as they are. It's kind of like that little Space Marine gray that I have, which is a different color now, that I've used, and I washed it a couple of times and then went over with some dry brushing. And again, there's some really nice detail that I don't want to lose. I've got the bone color, but what I'm looking for is how I can really make it work. I've thought about, like in some of these, and I don't think you can see them in these. Yeah, I thought about exposing the bone in between some of the skull parts, and I'm not sure again how that's going to show. Yeah, I did a couple of them, and maybe making some of those parts fleshy parts that show up. But I'm really looking for how to work. I wanted to make them like darker black or gray, but really try and make some contrast between the fur and the skin. And right now they look like they're kind of like the same color. And I'm really open to thoughts that people have on what to do with them. I really don't want to go too much the brown route because I just felt they should be darker. But I wouldn't mind putting a little brown in and having that as long as that worked with the whole entire color scheme. I would play with that certainly. But let me know what you think. If you have any ideas, I'd be happy to go over that. If you do have any suggestions, please, put some details in terms of colors or technique or whatnot. I'd be happy to have a conversation with people, and then, of course, I'd be happy to credit you with the details, and we'll go over some of that once I've actually finished them up. This is just I've got not just these 5, but obviously another 7 of them I have, and I'll show them up in a future issue of Convert This. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the Fell Pegasi and or my Fell Bats. And have a great day, everybody.